We have had a marvelous day here, and I've saved the best for last.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, I have Dr. Jo. She is Joanne Lichten. Did I say that right?
Very good, you did.
Joanne Lichten, registered dietitian, PhD. What's your PhD in?
Adult education. My other
Adult
two
education?
degrees are nutrition, and I was teaching at a university at the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me, how did you get involved in this?
Actually, I lived in Houston, and Houston at that time in the early 90s it was the #1 city as far as how many people went out to eat. And I was a dietitian, and people kept on saying, well, where can I go out to eat? What can I eat? And I'm like, I don't know. And so I started to put together this little brochure, and I got carried away, and it turned into this chunky book.
So she's brought her
So this is the 4th edition, actually.
Dining Lean that shows people how to dine healthy.
How to eat healthy in restaurants. So whether you're watching your weight, or you're watching the types of fats that you're eating, because maybe you have a risk for heart disease, or maybe you're managing your diabetes, and then we have all the carb values in there as well.
So what have you done with the diabetes community over this time?
Well, I'm working with them to help them to understand the portion sizes in restaurants. As you know, the portion sizes in restaurants are much larger than what we eat at home. And so a lot of times people say, well, I just had a burger. Why are my blood sugars out of whack? Well, that's because that burger was made up the equivalent of 4 slices of bread. And that's what they're doing in most of these restaurants. It's not the little bun that you get in the grocery store. It's this big fat bun. And same thing with bread. You know, you go for breakfast and you think you had 2 slices of toast. That's 30 grams of carbohydrate, when in fact it's equivalent of 3 slices of bread because it's this thick.
Right.
So I'm just trying to educate people on how much carbs are in the foods that they eat when they go out to eat. I have a lot of diagrams in here where I show people like how big a portion size is.
So what are we looking at here?
Well, probably the best one I love is this muffin one.
Okay.
So when you get a golf ball size muffin, that's a 1 ounce muffin, you're talking about 15 grams of carbohydrate. You know those little bite-sized ones?
Okay.
15 grams of carbohydrates. So when people are eating the softball size ones, they could be eating the equivalent of 5 slices of bread, or about 75 grams of carbohydrates. So I try to make it easy for people to understand the portion sizes because, let's face it, out in a restaurant, it's the same sort of food we eat at home, it's just bigger.
We've been publishing for 17 years, and what our patients, our readers, tell us is that a lot of them are finding success with the lower carb approach.
Yeah.
Their blood sugars go down, their insulin requirements go down, their weight goes down, their blood lipids go good.
I know, I think that's a good
idea. I know it's a controversial thing.
I know, but a lot of patients have told me the same thing. And so that's certainly fine. But you have to remember, if you're going to go lower in carb, you have to watch the types of fats that you're eating. In other words, you don't want to add more fatty meats. You don't want to add more butter to it. And the problem with restaurants is you're not going to get a lot of the healthy oils. Yes, if you go to an Italian restaurant, you can get the olive oil that's on the table to dip your bread. But if you're dipping it in a tablespoon of oil, I mean, come on. Come on, do we really need all those fat calories? So it's one of those things that go low carb, but don't feel like you have to eat all the fat that's on the table, because in the restaurant it is everywhere. Do you know they pour margarine or oil or butter on top of your steak before they serve it to you? Do we really need all that extra 150 calories?
Well, restaurants are businesses, and they feel if you leave satisfied, you'll go back.
Right.
Because everybody wants to be satisfied.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that they're bulking us up.
Right.
To get us satisfied.
Yeah. And I always tell people to remember that you're paying for your meal. So always ask for alternatives. I remember 20 years ago when I ordered my pizza light on the cheese, everybody had to say, hey, can you get that light on the cheese? It was a special order and nobody had ever heard it. Now you go into a restaurant and there's a button on the cash register for light on the cheese. You go to your favorite burger place, and if you want that bun not to be buttered, well, there's a button on the cash register.
Or no bun. I get the no bun lettuce wrap.
Right. Yeah. That means enough people are ordering it, right?
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, make those special requests, because the more we do that, the more they understand that we have a need for those special requests, and a bunless burger is fine as well. And I think we can turn around the restaurant industry if we know exactly what we want to eat. Tell them.
Right, we're the payers, the buyers. We should get what we want.
Right. Yeah, and in my book, Dining Lean, I also talk about which restaurants will make some kind of alternative suggestion. Like, for example, even if you go to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, do you know you can have fruit instead of fries?
At Wendy's?
Oh, absolutely. They have mandarin orange slices, and the McDonald's have the apple slices. So
tell our viewers at home about that.
Well, I mean, there are alternatives everywhere. You can go to Chick-fil-A. I don't know if that's in your part of the country, but
Chick-fil-A, that sounds like a strippers club.
No, but they have fresh fruit cups there. And so if you look around, there really are alternatives available. You can get a salad or fresh fruit. When I order eggs in the morning, I always ask for fresh tomatoes instead of hash browns.
A couple years ago, I took my kids to Disneyland. And I really was unhappy because the food, the children's meal, you think you're at Disneyland, so you're trapped. That Walt Disney or someone has approved children's meals.
Yeah.
No, it's all fat, French fries. You couldn't. Maybe they've changed, so you can trade in your French fries for an apple.
Actually, I was at Disney this summer.
Because you're trapped in there, they should make a bigger effort.
Actually, I know that they're trying. They're really trying. They've dropped the trans fats just recently, so that's good. I try to remind people that some of these changes are going to take many, many years.
Right.
The more you insist, the more they'll hear your word, and they'll make some of those changes. I did go to Disney just a short while ago and got a yogurt cup that was actually made with plain yogurt, not the sweetened kind, and they had some fresh fruit in there.
That's my. I buy the plain yogurt, which is only 10 grams of carbs, and then I put in stevia.
Oh, that's good sweetener.
And cinnamon, just plain.
Cinnamon's good for
and
the
the cinnamon kind of covers up the stevia flavor. And for me, it's just I have a cup of that. It's only 10 grams of carbs and has lots of protein, and I feel so satisfied.
And I like to add fruit to mine as well.
Yeah.
But, and that's what they had actually there. They had the granola on the top, but you didn't have to add that. It was separate. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I think if we look around and ask, I always tell people if you don't know exactly what to order in a restaurant, go to the restaurant or call them up, ask to speak to the manager between the hours of 2 and 5. They're getting ready for dinner, they've already cleaned up from lunch. They have the time to actually sit with you and you say, well, these are my needs. I want to watch my carbohydrates, I want some healthy fats. And the manager really knows a whole lot more than the waitress that's going to come by a little bit later on.
That's a good tip.
So, any things you can do to make your diet a little bit more manageable.
Dr. Joe, thanks for all you're doing to help people eat better, eat more wisely on the road and in dining out. And thanks for coming by our booth here.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.